Okay, let's dive right into this explainer. Today, we're unpacking a massive, high stakes philosophical clash in how our technological future is actually funded, built, and ultimately protected. It's really a tale of two completely opposing paths for creators, and we're going to dig into the underlying architecture of both. To set the stakes here, we have to start with a rather stark warning from a billionaire investor in our sources regarding our current macroeconomic reality. Honestly, we're living in a system where hyper-speculation has completely infected the market. It's what's called an everything bubble. This speculative energy has saturated the system so deeply that prices are entirely decoupled from any underlying reality or fundamental utility. It's all built on a very unstable foundation. And here is where it gets incredibly grim, tying right back to that billionaire's critique. There's this brutal analogy in the sources. They don't really care if the horse is killed as long as there is one winning. That perfectly illustrates the human cost when this macro speculative bubble trickles down. It essentially treats startup founders like absolute disposable commodities. The whole system is just obsessed with finding that one massive outlier, totally ignoring the immense collateral damage left behind. So here is our roadmap to understand how we can transition away from this destructive environment. We'll start with the speculative everything bubble, move into the liquidator VC casino, explore the 10-year vineyard model, check out the tools for legal engineering, and finally look at securing true creator sovereignty. All right, jumping right into section 1, the speculative everything bubble, decoupled from reality. The sources make it very clear that this everything bubble impacts all asset classes: crypto, stocks, art, you name it. It's driven by sheer speculative energy. We're seeing trillion-dollar valuations that are basically just self-fulfilling prophecies built on narrative hype, completely ignoring first principles. It creates this illusion of value that has absolutely nothing to do with real-world utility. To put that into perspective, the billionaire investor noted a crazy example where a specific stock grew 10 times in value over the lifespan of his car. And this wasn't based on fundamentals. It was purely through confidence-inspiring, frankly, BS narratives. The founder would talk up the game, sell stock, and spin distant promises about things like mining asteroids. It's the absolute textbook definition of a dangerous market peak. Which brings us to section 2, the liquidator VC casino, extracting value. So how does that macro bubble hit the ground level? Through what the sources call the liquidator VC model. This is an extractive, frantic setup that operates exactly like a Las Vegas casino floor. It's obsessed with short-term multiples, riding these rapid 2-year speculative hype cycles, and literally treating founders like disposable lottery tickets. It completely ignores the wasted capital, the disrupted markets, and the severely burned-out creators left in its wake. And to make matters worse, everyday creators trapped in this casino have to navigate a suffocating legal minefield. Get this, there are an estimated 250,000 overlapping active patents on a single modern smartphone. That's a massive corporate thicket designed to extract value and crush independent creators before their ideas even see the light of day. If you try to innovate in this casino model, you're getting dragged into court before you even launch. Let's look at the alternative in section 3, the 10-year vineyard model, cultivating compounding value. Here is the crucial pivot. Remember that killing the horse analogy from earlier? Well, the antidote is what the sources call the 10-year vineyard model. It's a massive shift away from the strip mining casino toward legitimacy VC. I mean, you don't strip mine a vineyard, right? You plant the seeds, you weather the harsh early seasons, and you act as genuine partners to build sustainable compounding value. It replaces that bubble-driven hype with actual structural infrastructure. But to actually execute this 10-year vineyard, investors need a totally different standard, known as Providence VC. If legitimacy is the broad philosophy, Providence VC is the strict, mathematically verifiable execution of it. These investors aren't just writing social narratives or hype, they act like clinical librarians archiving undeniable truth. They rely on unbreakable chains of title to ensure a creator's actual record of sweat is permanently secured. Now, to secure this digital trust, we literally have to change how we process the math at the micro level. We have to bypass the FPU gambler, the floating point unit inside a computer that basically guesses math and destroys data provenance in what the sources call a wood chipper effect. Instead, the vineyard relies entirely on the ALU surveyor, the arithmetic logic unit. This provides exact mathematical truth and perfect deterministic receipts of who built what. So how do we actually construct this? That's section 4, tools for legal engineering, building the substrate. To pull builders into this new ecosystem, modern venture capital acts like an agentic publishing house, using a fascinating concept called hyperstition. These are socio-technical fictions and high-fidelity white papers. Think of it like a 1950s direct mail sweepstakes, using a flashy novelty check to sell boring magazine subscriptions. They project a deep narrative to lure developers in, actively summoning the exact future they want to see built.
And the mechanics of this are brilliant. Step 1 is the lure, publishing that theoretical mass. Step 2 is the core, legally anchoring raw developer sweat into digital, bit-perfect developer ledgers. And step 3 is validation, where the firm acts as a clinical auditor, verifying that undeniable record of sweat.
The actual legal and tech toolkit they use to do this is wild. They use smart contracts to fix latency as legal damage, basically the harm caused when reality changes, but paper contracts lag months behind. They replace loud boardroom shouting with algorithmic consensus. They use LIFO ledgers, last in, first out, to mathematically prove a system state instantly at index 0. And they rely on UCC Article 12 as the ultimate legal shield. Unifying all this lets founders secure their property rights right at the protocol layer. Which leads us to the ultimate goal in Section 5, securing true creator sovereignty, the protective shell. By leveraging tools like the Ethereum General Public License, or EGPL, the ecosystem creates an absolutely brilliant copyleft poison pill. Picture this: a massive closed AI corporation secretively scrapes your open source code to mine its data. Well, that interaction instantly triggers a strict license breach, legally forcing that AI monopoly to open source its own proprietary tech in return. It's a systemic sandbox that stops extractive corporate monopolies dead in their tracks. And for the creators themselves, the automated monetization engine runs on a simple, powerful principle: author opt-in for revenue, consumer zero cost. It uses specialized smart contracts to reroute transaction fees right back to the original author. This flawlessly aligns private incentives with public access. It pays the actual creator automated micro-royalties at the silicon level, all while keeping the digital commons completely free for everyday users. So, as we wrap up this explainer, we've traced this massive clash between the speculative, destructive bubbles of the past and the mathematically verified, compounding infrastructure of the future. I want to leave you with this final provocative thought as you decide exactly where you'll invest your digital intent and your legacy. Will you gamble your sweat in the fast, disposable casino? Or will you plant your seeds in the sustainable, compounding vineyard? Think about it, because the future of how we innovate depends entirely on your answer. Thanks for joining me, and keep building.